Even after 22 years, the Morrowind modding scene is still going strong. From multiplayer mods to Star Wars total conversion overhauls, and my personal favorite, new world spaces to explore. Today, we're taking a look at the latest of which to launch, the Abecean Shores. This serves as the latest update to Project Cyrodiil, an even larger mod in size and scope that aims to eventually add all of the Imperial Heartland to the Elder Scrolls 3. The Abecean Shores release allows players to travel to Cyrodiil's Gold Coast, adding the mod team's vision of Anvil and the surrounding region, along with new factions, characters, and more. The team's goal wasn't to recreate Cyrodiil as we see it in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, but rather to make their own version, based upon books and references to the province found within the Elder Scrolls 3. Morrowind paints the Empire as being in decline, with many doubting the strength of the Emperor. Having a chance to see the Imperial province for ourselves before the chaos of the Oblivion crisis presents us with an opportunity to see that decline before all hell breaks loose. Project Cyrodiil is fully compatible with two of the other big new world mods out there, those being Tamriel Rebuilt and Skyrim, Home of the Nords. And it even has built-in integration for the two. Tamriel Rebuilt aims to create all of mainland Morrowind, as Bethesda had originally intended for the Elder Scrolls 3. The last time I played this mod was back in 2018, and even then it had a staggering amount of content. The other new world mod, Skyrim, Home of the Nords, alongside Project Cyrodiil, are both part of the larger Project Tamriel mod team, who are also currently developing two additional mods, one for High Rock and another for Hammerfell. All of these major mods, Tamriel Rebuilt, Home of the Nords, and Project Cyrodiil, make use of another mod known as Tamriel Data, a community-wide effort to have a one-stop shop for all the assets needed to make these mods possible, including new models, textures, and region data. Because of this, Tamriel Data is a nearly 2 GB download, while Project Cyrodiil is instead only 15 megabytes. But don't let that 15 megabyte download fool you. The mod's current release is massive, with a world space half the size of base game Vardenfell. In addition to the city of Anvil, the mod includes the Abecean Sea, the island of Stirk, the jungles of Dask Marsh, and Ayleid ruins to explore. While there's no main questline, there's over 160 new quests added, spread across side quests, new factions, and the Cyrodiilic branches of the Fighters, Mages, and Thieves guilds. For today's video, I'm using a fairly simple mod list for Morrowind, one that I set up a couple years ago now. I'm using Morrowind Script Extender, the Graphics Extender, Morrowind Code Patch, and Better Dialogue Font. I did go ahead and rerun Morrowind Graphics Extender after making sure that Tamriel Data and Project Cyrodiil were properly installed. That way I could get the greater render distance when exploring the new world space. And if you're using the Morrowind Script Extender, you can also make use of the mod UI Expansion in order to have Cyrodiil appear on your world map. Everything that I mentioned was installed manually, as mod managers don't always play nice with Morrowind, with it being as old as it is. And just for some added context, here's what Morrowind looks like running in backwards compatibility mode on the Series X versus how my modded setup looks on PC. Once everything is installed and working properly, you can begin your new adventure by heading to the Ebonheart docks and speaking with Titus Corlex. Alternatively, if you have Tamriel Rebuilt installed, he can be found in Old Ebonheart. And if you're looking for a more immersive reason to travel to Cyrodiil in the first place, a new quest can be found within Vivek's Foreign Quarter. The new content is intended to be playable at any level. I accidentally started playing on an older save game on a level 12 character, and I was able to handle myself alright. I then swapped to a more current level 25 save game, on which I had better gear and could carry more, and that just made for an easier time all around. Upon traveling to Anvil, you'll find yourself in the Port Quarter. The city is absolutely massive and is split into different districts, with the others being Fort Teledrac, the Marina, the Garden Quarter, Little Orenthia, and Goldstone. Fort Teledrac serves as the headquarters for the Imperial West Navy, the oldest of the Empire's fleets. The marina is home to the Fighters and Mages Guild, various merchants, along with boats and carriages to take you out of the city. The Garden Quarter is where you can find the Temple of Debella Aesthetica, where artisans can be found hard at work, and pilgrims can be seen praying to the 9 divines. Here, you'll also find the Abecean, part casino, part hotel, and part fighting pit. Little Arenthia is the poorest neighborhood in the city, with many immigrants from across Tamriel calling it home. And finally, Goldstone. This is the massive palace that can be seen upon arriving in the city, where Queen Melona of Anvil maintains order in the absence of her husband. I think I played the mod for about 2 or 3 hours without ever leaving the city. It's easily larger than Vivec, less confusing to navigate, and it truly feels like a major port and trade hub for a far-stretching empire. One of the first things I did was visit the Abecean, where I received a tarot card reading, and played a new game called 9 Holes. Think of it like tic-tac-toe, where the first to get 3 sticks in a row, either horizontally or vertically, wins. But unlike tic-tac-toe, once each player has placed 3 sticks on the board, you'll move one of yours each turn until one of you wins. I thought it was really impressive that they had an actual playable minigame like this. My first quest in Anvil came from one of the patrons who was looking for his wife. I eventually found her down by the fight pits, where she asked me to help kill her husband as he was incredibly controlling and paranoid. I agreed to help her, killing him behind the casino and receiving an enchanted golden shield from her. From there, I decided to join the fight pit, which was a little different from your standard arena fights. The Abecean fighting pit is a form of theater, in which combatants take on a role, don a costume, and choose to fight either as a hero or a villain. I chose to fight as a hero, taking on the moniker of the Pilgrim, vowing to defeat the evil Nightingale. And because it's meant more so as a form of storytelling, you're not fighting to the death. So please, don't accidentally kill your opponent. It counts as a crime, and you'll be fired from the fight pit, since killing entertainers is kind of bad for business. One of my next stops was to the Palace of Goldstone, where I learned a little bit more about Anvil's political situation. King Claudius, the most recently elected ruler of Anvil, had mysteriously disappeared from his bedchambers. His first wife, Queen Regent Melona, assumed his duties, while his second wife, Queen Isolde, had instead been left with little to do. Here, I was able to join the Kingdom of Anvil, one of the new factions available, with my first assignment being to catch a couple of thieves who had been looting Conamor's crypt, the future resting place for the Queen Regent. The 2 Tomb Raiders were found in the southeast chamber, and after killing them, I found a note telling them to search the urns for ashes. Upon returning to Goldstone, I was told that this was to be the burial chamber for King Claudius, meaning that the thieves were hired by someone who believed that the king was dead and buried. When I finally left the city, I did so via boat, sailing to the island of Sturk and the imperial port of Karak. The guards here had a couple bounties posted outside their barracks, the first of which was for a Khajiit fugitive said to still be near the settlement. After asking the locals and following a few leads, I found that one of the farmers had hidden him in her home. She claimed that he was innocent, and she planned to smuggle him out of Cyrodiil. So all I had to do was look the other way, return to Goldstone, and claim to have killed him for the bounty. It was a really easy 1,000 gold. There's a couple other settlements across the region as well. The shipmaster in Anvil's Marina district can take you to the 2 fishing villages of Arkad and Threvsy. The carriage driver outside Anvil's walls can take you to the nearby farm of Halsidek, or to Brina Cross, a moderately well-off trade hub. Walking south from Brina Cross, I eventually found the towering Ayleid ruins of Garlus Agia. Within, I found an archaeological team, who hired me to retrieve a keystone and Varla stone lost within the lowest levels of the ruins. This was probably one of my favorite parts of what I played. The ruins had brand new enemies, including Ayleid specters and Auroran Dremora. The style and design for the ruins is very close to that of Oblivion's, and it was really fun getting to explore and loot as I delved deeper. I found new alien weapons, coins, and clutter, along with Auroran weapons and new spell scrolls. If anything, this made for a much more fun experience than the skeletons and bandits that you usually found in Oblivion's alien ruins. I played for several hours in order to make this video, and ultimately I know that I really only scratched the surface, and I already get the sense that there's going to be a good sense of progression within this current release of the mod. The city of Anvil has its own private bank that I couldn't even join yet, since you have to be a person of greater renown in order to open an account. And there's a second new faction to join as well, the Itinerant Priests, meant to give us a slightly different approach to worshipping and serving the Nine compared to the Imperial cult in the base game. To me, joining the Kingdom of Anvil is the most interesting of the factions available, since it feels like it helps to give us the best introduction to the city and the region, helping the Queen Regent try to maintain order and keep the people's faith in her, while many still have questions about the disappearance of her husband. So while the Abecean Shores release doesn't have a main questline in the traditional sense, I would easily consider this faction to be the closest equivalent that it has. The assets and architecture for Anvil are really great. It really captures what I think of when I think back to Anvil's style from the Elder Scrolls 4. But like I said earlier, this version of Anvil is drastically larger than its Oblivion counterpart, and it makes me wonder how absolutely massive the mod team's version of the Imperial City would be compared to this. The mod's version of Anvil has districts that feel distinct, a castle that truly feels like a grand structure, towering over the rest of the city. And another thing to note is that this is a really polished release. I had no crashes whatsoever, and the only bug I had was that a single guard attacked me shortly after I arrived in Anvil. I checked to see if I had a bounty, and I didn't. And none of the other guards had any problem with me. So who knows, maybe that one guard in particular just really hates Dark Elves. What's crazy to me is looking at the map for Project Cyrodiil, seeing what they've now released and how tiny it is when put alongside the rest of the province. Already, the Abecean Shores feels like a full DLC and then some, and it's still only a slice of a much larger, much further out goal. That being said, the next few regions are already in development, including Kvatch, Sancretor, and the city as such. These are projects that take many years, and even what little I've played feels like it's well worth the wait. The time that I put into recording for this video went by really fast, and it really put me back in a Morrowind mood. And the best part of it all is that this really feels like a natural addition to the game. The writing, the design, the amount of detail, it all feels true to what Bethesda created all those years ago. It's a fitting extension of the game, building upon the lore we had seen of the Empire pre-Oblivion. We're getting the more diverse Cyrodiil climates, seeing the might of the Empire even in its decline, all while exploring a new version of Anvil that still feels reminiscent enough of its Oblivion counterpart. And honestly, as someone who focuses almost exclusively on Skyrim still, projects like this continue to give me hope. These mod teams are still creating massive mods after 20 years, which makes me think that the Skyrim community will be bringing us great content for many years to come. Mods like these will happily keep me coming back to Morrowind. And it shows that the game still serves as a great sandbox for the creativity that we see from a lot of mod authors out there. I could talk about Abecean Shores all day, but the bottom line is that I highly recommend it. Even when this video is done, I might be playing the mod more just for fun. And who knows, after this, I might have to try out Skyrim Home for the Nords, and download the latest version of Tamriel Rebuilt while I'm at it. But that's gonna be all for today. As always, thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, both of which get access to my official Discord server. I recently started giving YouTube members early access to videos, so they can watch them the moment they're uploaded and ready to go. And I'm planning on doing the early access uploads for Patreon members starting in January. And of course, make sure to stop by the streams at twitch.tv/0periodproductions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.